Hi, everyone. My name is Sara Shikhman, and I'm the managing partner at Lingia Law. Here at Lingia, we work with lots of different healthcare businesses, including traditional doctor's offices, also med spas, wellness clinics, IV hydration clinics, different businesses run by aestheticians, and lots of other things. We represent people when they're very small and just starting out. We also help people sell their practice or become compliant after a board investigation. And I've been practicing law for about 18 years. It's been a while. Before starting this firm, I used to run a med spa, so I know the business as a operator as well. And I'm joined here with one of my colleagues, Nick Shafer. He's a Texas licensed attorney and has been doing this for a long time as well. And I'll let him introduce himself.
Well, as Sarah said, my name's Nick Shafer. I have been practicing healthcare law in Texas for almost 8 years now, after graduating from UT. Texas, born and raised here. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about one of the bills that is making its way through the Texas legislature this session that is going to be of interest to our clients. We're going to be providing an interpretation of the bill and how we see the text of the bill being applied in practice and what it actually means and what it might actually be targeting. So we're going to be talking about Senate Bill 378, which the text of it makes it look like estheticians, anybody with a license from the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, cosmetology and barbering licenses will no longer be allowed to provide medical treatments. So that would be, Botox, fillers, any laser treatments besides laser hair removal. This law aims to make it clear that it's not within their scope of practice. The interesting thing is, already wasn't within an esthetician's scope of practice in Texas to provide medical procedures. What the law and what I think it's targeting is this kind of gray area between the Texas Medical Board and the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, where if an esthetician is injecting at a med spa, supposedly under the supervision and delegation of the medical director of a physician, if there is an issue, if a patient's injured, or if there's an investigation and they find that you aren't keeping up with the delegation requirements, so that's, standard delivering services according to standard operating protocols, making sure that you get a patient-specific prescriptive order, doing that good faith exam process before treatments are delivered. When they were trying to impose discipline, there was this gray area between, is the Texas Medical Board allowed to discipline a TDLR licensee, or can the Texas Medical Board only discipline the physician? Is TDLR allowed to discipline their licensees for providing services that are under the authority of the Texas Medical Board? This bill is targeted at resolving that uncertainty. TDLR will be allowed to impose discipline for estheticians, anybody else who has a TDLR license that is improperly providing medical services. The language of the bill has an exception for services performed as otherwise authorized. So my interpretation of that is that if the esthetician is delivering services according to the delegation rules that were recently updated by the Texas Medical Board in January, allowing for a physician to delegate the performance and administration of non-surgical medical procedures to unlicensed persons. So unlicensed medical profession or people who are not a licensed medical professional. So an esthetician, even an EMT, they have specific rules that allow for physicians to delegate the performance of those procedures to non-medical professionals. As long as you are keeping up with those requirements, an esthetician would be authorized to deliver those services and would not face discipline under the text of SB 378. That's our interpretation of the bill. I think that it is the correct one because I don't think that they would be passing legislation that would so conflict with the Texas Medical Board's rules, which allow for delegation of these non-surgical cosmetic procedures to unlicensed people, so non-medical professionals. As long as you are keeping up with those Texas Medical Board rules, a physician could delegate to any person with the proper training. If the interpretation of Senate Bill 378 is that an esthetician, anybody with a TDLR license, cannot perform these services, it would have the strange result of if you have an esthetician license, you wouldn't be allowed to perform the services. If you had no license at all, you would be allowed to perform the services under the Texas Medical Board rule. So I do think there's a strong argument that as long as you are keeping up with those requirements, if you have questions about those, please contact us. But as long as you're keeping up with the Texas Medical Board rules for delegation, this bill shouldn't bar you from delivering Botox, fillers, laser treatments as an esthetician.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And this sort of happens in some other states too. Like in Ohio, for example, there are some rules that say estheticians can't do cool sculpting. But
Mhm.
in practice, a physician by delegation can delegate to an unlicensed person to do cool sculpting. And so then when you're performing cool sculpting and you're an esthetician, are you doing it under your scope as an esthetician? No, because that's not allowed, but you are doing it as under your scope as an unlicensed person. So there are these kind of
Yeah.
parallels in other states too, but it's creating a little bit of, I think, confusion about like what's going to happen. But what's interesting about this bill is where it is in the legislative process, right? Because it's much further along than some of the other bills we've talked about.
Yeah, so it passed through the Senate with flying colors. It's in the House now. So it's already passed the Senate. It just needs to be passed by the House and it'll be sent to the governor's desk. I haven't seen much opposition to this bill, which makes me think that it doesn't have the teeth that people might think it has on a plain reading of the text. So I think this bill will pass. I don't think that it's going to make a significant change in Texas med spas because if you're an esthetician delivering medical services in a Texas med spa, you already need to be complying with those Texas Medical Board delegation rules. Your medical director needs to be complying with them, and the med spa needs to be complying with them. And they can be pretty extensive. So if you have questions about them, about what signs need to be posted, how often standard operating protocols need to be reviewed and signed off on, what name badges are required. We can provide those answers, but I think that even if this bill passes, you should be complying with those rules anyway, either way.
Got it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you guys have questions, you could always reach out to us. Our website is lingealaw.com. All of our clients know how to reach us, but if you want a free consultation and you're not yet a client, you could schedule that on our website as well. And we'll keep you updated. This Senate Bill 378 is pretty far along in the process, so we think most likely it'll pass, but we are not 100% sure, but we'll keep everyone posted. And if you have questions, just get in touch with us and we will help you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all.